Thursday, 28 May 2026, pursuant to Order 91-2. Comments on the statement will therefore commence on Tuesday, 2nd June 2026, in accordance with Order 91-3 and 4. In view of this, honorable members are to take note and participate fully in the commentary. And Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, in accordance with Orders 2162 and subject to Order 67, the committee submits to the House the order in which business of the House shall be taken during the week. The daily schedules have been attached, and the pending referrals to committees have also been attached, and I urge Hansa to capture all of that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, the business statement for the third week has been ably presented by the chairman of the business committee, who doubled as the leader of the House. The floor is now open for honourable members' comment. Yes, Honourable Frank Afriye.
Speaker, thank you so much for this special dispensation. And let me proceed by thanking the leader of the House, for that matter, the Business Committee. Speaker, I'll dwell specifically on item 3, which has to do with referrals from your own self or your good self. Speaker, as many as 306 referrals have been made from your good office to various committees for consideration and report, and it keeps piling. So to a greater extent, it of course questions our commitment to the oversight mandate that we have to the good people of this country. And I want to suggest to the leader, if it's possible, so that he considers programming these referrals to the various committees, so that if this week, let's say, Committee on Local Governments will have to ramp up, work on all the referrals, then they present reports. Then the subsequent week, 2 or more other committees are considered. Until that, we will have the back and forth, which I believe will not be helpful to the work of this House. Again, Speaker, I would like to find out from the leader the forthcoming conference on interparliamentary family values, starting from 3rd to somewhere 6th of next month. He clearly indicated that the House will have to sit early and adjourn early for the subsequent session of the conference, without indicating to the House clearly what timelines we are looking at. If the House could be apprised with the exact timelines, let's say if it's 10 to 12 midday, then we know that the House will sit between 10 in the forenoon to 12 midday. Then subsequent to that, we adjourn for the conference. Thank you so much, Speaker, for the opportunity.
Any other member willing to comment? Yes.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. In line with the international conference dedicated for Wednesdays and Thursdays, my proposal to leadership is that if they will reconsider making sure that between the Monday and Tuesday, we'll be able to do a standard sitting. So what is to be covered on Wednesdays and Thursday, we can free those 2 days and go to the constituency to do constituency work. This is my humble proposal to leadership for consideration. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Honorable Kwame Anyimedwentwi, before Patrick Yabuama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'll pick it from where my colleague left off, that we need specific timelines. But in addition to that, in as much as the conference, that is, we also need to know at what time the conference would begin and probably end. So if the majority leader can fuse them together and give us indications. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Nochukoti.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in presenting the business statement, leader mentioned that there is an attached list of referrals at the committees. This has been occurring for some time now. On that of education, said there are 81 referrals. Actually, we have not gotten access to any of these referrals except 16, which we got, and then we have worked on them. So I want to appeal to the table office or the clerk to Parliament if we can get these referrals released to the committee to enable us work on them. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Table office, take note. Yes. Honorable Patrick Yaubwama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me commend you for pushing for members to receive the annual report on the staffing position of the Office of the President last week. We commend you for that order. It's very interesting to read a report, Mr. Speaker, especially if you look at some of the positions. Assistant Manager at the Jubilee Lounge, Kotoka International Airport. Deputy Assistant at the Blaster Executives, whatever. A Deputy Assistant to the Chief of Staff Secretary. Mr. Speaker, you have 4 Ministers of State at the Office of the President, about 190.
Which report are you reading?
The annual report that you instructed or directed, the table of annual report on the staffing.
You know, we are now commenting on business statement. So when the report is to be discussed, then you have the floor to make your comment on the reports. Any further comments? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to commend the leader of the House for presenting this statement, but I have a big concern, and my concern is with the details for the activities or the questions that will be asked on the Tuesday, the Wednesday, and the Thursday. And I was wondering if the leader has any intention of rescheduling or readjusting the program in such a way that if he gives us the go-ahead as to when to start the conference and when it is ending, we will be able to adjust and reorganize the questions for the days that we'll have full sitting. I'd like to find out from the leader whether he's interested in having a look at that. I know you cannot do it single-handedly. If it calls for an urgent or what is the emergency meeting between the business committee, then I would like to recommend that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaker, for the past 72 hours, Accra has experienced some torrential rains. And if you look at pictures and videos from the western part of Accra, especially where Honorable Ayariga drives through to Winneba and to Cape Coast, the whole area was submerged yesterday. And it will be very important for us to hear from the Works and Housing Minister on steps that government is taking to get this in, the drainage system, the Wager Dam, which was open and people are just homeless in Accra. It's very important that government, through the Minister for Works and Housing, is summoned by your good self to tell the good people of this country what steps government is taking to assuage their plight. I thank you very much. So, Majority Leader, you're always on that route. That's Ricketts route to Cape Coast, and you are sitting, you are not talking.
Can you give me the basis to summon the Minister?
Mr. Speaker, this is a very
because
important national
I know
matter.
as a senior member, you know the tools available for you.
matter that I'm invoking your inherent powers to summon the Works and Housing Minister. Honorable Ricketts, from Kaneshi, Odoko, Weja, Malam, Kaswa, Winneba, Apam, all that route. The rains, people couldn't drive to Cape Coast. A friend of mine left Accra at 12 p.m., got to Takoradi at 10 p.m. It's not a good thing to toy about with. And Atufose must release money to the contractors working on the Accra Cape Coast Takoradi Road. He must make releases and stop hiding under the commitment authorization that he's using to stifle everybody in this country. He must make funds available, not to come here and present facts and numbers to the country. He must release money for contractors. Atufose must pay contractors to deliver. All the ministers are suffering.
Honorable Patrick Obama, do you know as a fact that the contractors are being owed?
Mr. Speaker, you see, you can't release everything, but people must be given adequate resources to work. All the classroom blocks are stuck. Agenda 111, he's not funding it. He's not funding the road contractors. Even Akachi, your school.
Well,
the school
you decided not to answer the question. So, Honorable Majority Leader, I'll give you the floor.
Well, those who started Agenda 111 prefer to put money into a national cathedral, which ended up just being a big hole in the center of the city. The money that you put into the national cathedral, could have finished many Agenda 111 hospitals. So, Mr. Speaker, the referrals, yes, I will welcome all the ideas regarding how we can get the referrals expedited by the various committees. One thing that I've observed in the treatment of the referrals is that many committee chairs have requested for funds to hold meetings outside Parliament to deal with the referrals. The referrals are annual performance reports that every year will come to Parliament, every year, by the statutes establishing all these agencies, every ministry, the agencies under them. There is an obligation to present a performance report different from the audited accounts that the Auditor General deals with. In the past, we have not had committees reviewing the performance reports to determine if, apart from the monies that the Auditor General accounts to us for the utilization, whether in terms of what the sector ministry is doing, whether they're actually doing it, if they are delivering on that. That aspect of oversight has been weak. So the insistence now that committees must review the performance reports is to improve on our oversight responsibility. So there's not just money issues we are looking at, but also actual delivery. Now, these reports are annual reports that must come. Every committee has its budget. If you are going to commit your budgets to holding meetings in hotels outside this house to deal with these reports, the danger is that you are going to draw so much from your budgets that you will not be able to utilize a significant portion of the budget for the field trips, annual reports of agencies under you. Utilize the facilities in Parliament. We have committee rooms. At least we have not less than 10 committee rooms, all of them fitted with the relevant facilities that will enable you to meet and work on these reports. That way you will save your committee budget, and then you can undertake field visits, and then also you can do your usual international travels to do benchmarking. But I see a lot of requests from chairpersons for funds to have meetings outside the House in order to deal with these referrals. And that is part of the reason why we are getting frustrated, because once the funds are not yet available, you are also unable to proceed with consideration of your referrals. So I take the advice that has been given by members. On the issue of the conference, yes, I believe that the suggestion that we should probably consider extended sitting so that after the conference we can still sit and have ministers come and answer questions so that we can look at the various bills that we are so committed to passing as soon as possible. So that's the matter that I will discuss with the clerk, with the speaker, and if we take a decision early enough, Tuesday we'll communicate to the House so that Wednesday and Thursday we can clearly determine the sitting hours. I believe that indeed every year around this time we tend to have the flooding, and then we tend to have ministers come and brief us on the we tend to have these floods, and the minister usually comes to apprise us of what the situation looks like. It won't be bad for the minister to come and apprise us. So we'll follow up with the minister, and based on his availability, I believe he will be able to come and then apprise us of the developments in that regard. But I know that, it is not just about the Minister of Finance disbursing funds. It's also the failure over many years to enforce all the codes that, this Parliament has passed relating to how we plan our cities, where we develop and where we don't develop, how we make sure that the waterways are protected so that when we have heavy downpours, there will not be obstruction to the waterways, and then there will be flooding. These are all matters that those of us who are in this House have primary responsibility for. And I say so because every single one of us is a member of our municipal, district, and metropolitan assemblies. And as members of the assemblies, it is part of our responsibility to make sure that within our various assemblies, we adhere to the planning codes, we adhere to the regulations pertaining to where to build and where not to build. And if we sleep on the job and we don't pay attention to these issues, these are the consequences that will be visited upon us as a nation. So beyond just always asking the ministers what they are doing, let's also begin to ask ourselves as members of Parliament, who are members of our various district assemblies, what are we also doing? Mr. Speaker, I also want to indicate that what I found out is that some of the chairpersons have actually met, considered the referrals, but the clerks of the various committees are not hastening to put the reports together and present to us to lay in this House and take. So I also urge the clerk to get the clerks to the various committees to work on the reports and then submit them for us to lay and then take them on the floor of the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, that is a response from the chairman of the Business Committee, and the business statement as presented is accordingly adopted. The next item is item numbered 7. Questions. Honourable members, the minister responsible for education is already seated to respond to questions slated for him. Yes.
Speaker, humbly, given the sheer number of questions that he has to answer, so we've agreed that we'll take one supplementary as a follow-up.
Yes, Deputy Minority Leader.
Right, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Rightly so. We are requesting for just one supplementary.
Very well.
Thank you.
Very well. Honorable Minister, you are welcome. The first question stands in the name of Alfred Nikote Ashi, Member of Parliament for Ododio constituency, to ask question number 180. Honourable Member, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, respectfully, I rise to ask the Minister for Education for an update on the Millennium City Schools project initiated in 2011, and whether the government remains committed to its objectives of eliminating the shift system in the public basic schools. Thank you.
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank you for the opportunity to respond to the question posed by the Honorable Alfred Nikote on the Millennium Schools project, which was launched far back 2010. The project was spearheaded by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly. It was to address the shift system in public basic schools to improve educational outcomes, learning outcomes. The project was funded through a collaboration between the Government of Ghana and the United States Agency for International Development, USAID. The initiative involved the construction of new school buildings with the provision of libraries, science and computer labs, and other essential facilities to create conducive learning environment to eradicate the shift system. The government, through the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, constructed a number of schools within the metropolis under the initiative. I should commend our colleague, the Honorable Van der Poy. When he was mayor, he initiated this. And Mr. Speaker, as you know today, the United States Agency for International Development, no thanks to President Trump's shift on foreign policy, is no longer functional and operational. So naturally, the government of Ghana has to adopt these projects and ensure their completion. However, Mr. Speaker, the shift system is not a national policy, and it has largely been phased out across the country and will be phased out by the time that we complete the construction of some 4 new 400 basic schools across the country. We need to invest in infrastructure. And Mr. Speaker, the President has decided to realign investment to focus more on basic education to improve learning outcome and to reduce the national poverty on literacy and numeracy. The incidence of the shift system is localized rather than widespread. So you may have some in Kumasi, some in Accra, Tema, but not across the country. The solution lies in implementing measures, as I said, which will include the construction of new classroom blocks, expansion of existing school infrastructure, provision of furniture and learning facilities. Mr. Speaker, the Millennium School project was solely under the purview of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, as I said, and not under the Ministry of Education. So just to assure my colleague, the government will adopt it and ensure its early completion, subject to the availability of funding. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member, any supplementary question?
Mr. Speaker, I have no supplementary question except to thank the Minister for ensuring that the GET Fund adopts the Millennium School project, one of which is in my constituency known as the Simpe School. And I pray that agency is attached so that we complete it. Thank you very much.
We now move to question number 221. Standing in the name of Honorable Peter Lanchini Tobu, Member of Parliament for Wa West. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask the Minister for Education what plans the government has regarding the insufficient furniture situation in numerous schools across the country as it hinders teaching and learning. Thank you so much.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I should thank the Honorable Peter Tobu for the question. The provision of adequate school furniture is a critical component which affects the quality
safety and inclusiveness of the learning environment for basic and secondary education across Ghana. The ministry is aware of the challenges regarding insufficient furniture in some schools across the country. Mr. Speaker, recently I was in Sefiu also with a member of Parliament and the Regional Directorate of Education. It was sad to see a number of basic school learners struggling with furniture, not just its inadequacy, but the quality of the furniture that is being used. Accordingly, the GET Fund allocated 230 million for the procurement of furniture for basic and senior high school, and some of it are being distributed across the country. In 2025, 226,635 monodecks were procured and distributed to 547 schools across the country. Mr. Speaker, if we were to adequately provide for furniture, we can take 100 schools out of the double track system. I'm currently reviewing the procurement decisions, and it is my view that some of these procurements should be left to the Regional Directorate of Education to procure the furniture to satisfy their own local and domestic needs, not headquarters dictating to them and getting it there. So, Mr. Speaker, the furniture deficit in basic and secondary schools is real. It remains a priority of government. Following the uncapping of the GET Fund, some funds have been made available even in the 2026 budget for the procurement of furniture for basic schools and senior high schools across the country. We will deal with it head on, and as I said, I want to revise the way the furniture is procured, not as it was done previously or as it's been done. The Ghana Education Service should be central in ensuring that it makes the requests based on the needs of the institutions. GET Fund should be reduced to like the BESA quote in quote. Theirs is to fund it, to pay for it in accordance with Act 581, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Any supplementary question?
Mr. Speaker, when government prioritizes a matter, I don't think it's important to ask further questions. I'm so grateful to the Honorable Minister. Thank you.
Yes. We move to question number 222, standing in the name of Mr. or Honorable Peter Lancheri Tobu.
Mr. Speaker, thank you once again. I rise to ask the Minister for Education the measures being implemented to complete the abandoned Doromo E-Block project, which has stalled since 2017. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I know that the Honorable Peter regularly visits the constituency, and he is aware that the contractor is at site for the completion of the project that was abandoned for almost a decade. And Speaker, that is a practice this House must take abhorrence to. Projects get commenced after a decade uncompleted. It becomes unattractive even for the contractors to be asked to go back to site because prices will change and the value of the contract itself will materially change. Mr. Speaker, a total of 27 E-blocks across the country will be completed with some allocation of 996 million, 13,000 Ghana cedis. I will provide the detailed breakdown of those projects across the country, from Tanon North, through Ada, through Karachi West, to Birim, Ten, Karachi Chumuru, Ejura Sechidumasi, Jirapa, Nadole, Laura. So, Mr. Speaker, we are reviewing it. I had to write back to the regional coordinating councils to review the quantities and the value of the money. Because if you awarded a contract in 2010, essentially in 2026, you don't expect the contractor to work with the same contract value you gave him in 2010. So a number of it will be completed. If you go home, you can go and supervise the contractor. It is my intention to join you probably if the President or Vice President is available to commission it before the end of this year. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any supplementary question?
Rightly so, Mr. Speaker. I want to ask the Minister for Education, now that government has a policy that no school remain without accommodation, is it possible that this Doromo E-Block will have accommodation attached to make it a full boarding school? Most grateful.
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, following the introduction of the free senior high school in 2018, we have witnessed across the country exponential increase to access. But Mr. Speaker, it is not every time that a child or a learner in school is learning, because we must get the learning environment right. Mr. Speaker, it is President Mohammed's decision that we emphasize in rural areas, we do modernization. So for rural peri-urban areas, we will encourage the boarding school concept. In the urban populated areas, our decision will be to build community day schools, like what you have in Kwabenya or what you have in Weja. Then that can absorb significant number of persons who want to have access to secondary education. Mr. Speaker, truth be told, between 2018 and yesterday, we've seen significant improvement in access to secondary education. What is lacking is the infrastructure of dormitories, laboratories, and others. So, Mr. Speaker, accordingly, I'm happy to announce to Parliament that in the next couple of days, not later than 16th to 21st of June, the Honourable Minister for Finance, Atu Forson, will be concluding, subject to the board approval of the World Bank, an amount of $300 million under the Star J project will be implemented. Accordingly, 30 Category C schools will be upgraded to Category B schools, and 20 Category B schools will be upgraded to Category A school. And government will invest in expanding infrastructure in the existing Category A schools. I see the Honourable Fojo raising his hands. What did you do about it? 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 Mr. Speaker, a school which probably had a population, of 2,000, today is 5,500. Mr. Speaker, many of the schools, even assembly hall, they go in batches. Dining hall, they go in batches. Unacceptable for the country. But I'm not putting blame on you anyway. I'm saying that the country must respond that our educational infrastructure is in crisis from basic to higher education level. We need to invest more. So be assured that under the Star J project, we will rehabilitate some over 30 schools across the country. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to note that I was with the President, with the Honorable Yusuf in the Savannah region, and then Kulmasa in the Savannah region will benefit from a new TVET. Tumu will benefit from a new TVET. Buaku in the Sefi area will benefit from a new secondary education. Then Uti, Mr. Speaker, we are prioritizing deprived areas. There are some 13 districts that have no senior high school. And there are some regions, Northeast and Savannah region has no Category A school. We will work to improve that with the Star J initiative, which is being funded by the World Bank. The World Bank on 16th of June will conclude and give approval for it, and we'll take it through competitive international bidding and award the contract. We intend to spend about $256 million just on infrastructure, then some $70 million on quality improvement, improving learning access with learning materials, and the other would be to be able to police and ensure that we improve the secondary education generally in the country. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We now move to question number 224, standing in the name of Honorable Robert Wisdom Kujo, Member of Parliament for Prestia, Winnie Valley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have the authority of the Honorable Member to seek your permission to ask the question in his.
Very well. You may do.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Education the urgent steps the ministry is taking to address the situation in the Prestia Winnie Valley constituency, where a significant number of classrooms are being managed by community teachers who are paid by parents?
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Ghana Education Service teacher development norms and guidelines ensure equitable distribution of teachers, improve quality education delivery, and to promote efficient utilization of human resources across the country. Teacher deployment is guided by the principle of equity, need-based allocation, efficiency and professional relevance. Deployment decisions are based on approved vacancies, staffing gaps, enrollment levels, curriculum demands, and teacher qualifications and subject specialization. Mr. Speaker, the norms prioritize schools with critical shortages, especially in rural deprived communities, and focus on key subject areas such as mathematics, ICT, STEM, French, and special education. Teacher allocation considers approved pupil-teacher ratio, school structure, workload, and timetable demands to ensure balanced staffing across. Newly recruited teachers may be posted to any region or district based on service needs, whilst redeployment may occur where overstaffing and inequities exist. Mr. Speaker, in May 2023, the Honourable Member for Prestia raised a similar question on the floor of Parliament about the efforts the Ministry is making to curb the increasing number of community teachers recruited and paid by parents. Mr. Speaker, currently we are undertaking some recruitment of about 7,000 teachers across the country. 7,000. Did you do recruitment in 2024? Mr. Speaker, following that, a team from the Ghana Education Service visited the area in 2023 to undertake a situational assessment. The findings confirm 176 number of community teachers operating in the area. So we have to act and act well on this matter. Mr. Speaker, yes, it's true. I currently subject to approval and clearance from the Minister of Finance. That is only when I can take the initiative to recruit teachers. So we are currently recruiting 7,000 teachers across the country, and for the tertiary education level, close to 3,000 lecturers to be able to fill in the gap. But if you do a national assessment of our needs, we need a minimum of 50,000 teachers across the country. But that is subject to budget, and the budget being able to absorb that. I note that compensation as a percentage of government spending sometimes affects the number of teachers that are recruited. So, Mr. Speaker, 1st of July, a new batch of recruited teachers will start work across Ghana, and some 7,000 teachers will be recruited. I'm still engaging with the Honourable Minister for Finance to increase the numbers for recruitment of teachers, but you know it must be on budget. So maybe when he comes for his mid-year review, he will look at it. So the Honourable Member should be assured that we currently, Mr. Speaker, my attention was drawn during the May Day celebration when one of the workers was dancing with a placard that blind teachers are also teachers, to remind me that when you are doing recruitment, take care of blind teachers. Mr. Speaker, I have had requests from His Royal Majesty the Government Chair that, look, even in Greater Accra, they have a challenge with Ga teachers, and probably Ewe and other languages across the country. In Savannah, it came up. We should be having dedicated teachers, because it is our firm belief and faith that when children learn with the local language as first language of instruction, in addition to English, learning outcomes improve. We've seen some evidence from Oxford supported. English remains our official language, but we should do more. So, Mr. Speaker, we are recruiting teachers and will be guided to give something to the people of Prestia, Huni Valley. Mr. Speaker, I'm also happy to inform the Member of Parliament that whilst watching a documentary on Joy FM, I saw an appeal from the traditional rulers from the Prestia area over an uncompleted GET Fund project in that area. I've asked the GET Fund to prioritize it for completion to support the Prestia people to access secondary education. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member, any supplementary question?
Honourable Speaker, thank you very much. No supplementary question.
Thank you. We'll move to question number 252. Standing in the name of Honorable Mavis Kukua BCU, Member of Parliament for Ahanta West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, please, I have the approval of the Honorable Member to seek your leave to ask the question on her behalf.
She doesn't have the authority to approve.
Authority.
You have her authority to ask the question on
I
her
have
behalf.
her approval to ask the question on her behalf.
That's why I'm saying that he cannot approve for you to ask the question.
Yeah. So I have the authority, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. If you
to
have the
seek
authority,
your leave
if you
for
have the authority,
approval
go
to
ahead.
ask the question.
Go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Education when the government will complete and operationalize the Takoradi Technical University campus at Aketechi in the Ahanta West constituency, which has remained abandoned for the past 8 years. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the development of the Aketechi campus of Takoradi Technical University was initiated by the Commission for Technical and Vocational Education and Training, CTVET, formerly covered as part of the Development of Skills project in 2014. The project understandably was financed by the Africa Development Bank and was awarded to Measures and NASA contractors for a sum of $6 million. The following facilities have been developed on the campus: a lecture theater, an electrical workshop, a civil workshop, a mechanical workshop, an ICT laboratory, library, and 4 flats for lecturers. Mr. Speaker, currently the Takoradi Technical University transports students from the main campus to the Aketechi campus for practical work. The university has developed a 5-year strategic plan to fully utilize the campus to its full capacity. Mr. Speaker, the full functionality of the campus is within the bosom of the Takoradi Technical University. Thankfully, Mr. Speaker, some few days ago, I accompanied the president to the Takoradi Technical University for the 10th anniversary celebration of the conversion of those polytechnics into universities. That was a vision and wisdom of President Mahama 10 years back. He made a commitment to them that this year, into the 2027 GET Fund allocation, government will allocate 10 million Ghana cedis, a total of 100 million, to support all the technical universities as seed money. I'm sure when they get some of this money, they may be able to bring finality to some of these uncompleted projects. Mr. Speaker, I'm currently before Cabinet, and subject to Cabinet's pleasure, I'll come back to this House for Ghana to establish its first ever TVET fund, Technical Education and Vocational Fund. We intend that 10% of the GET Fund be allocated to support technical education with vocation, with skills training and development, and I'm still forcefully pushing for 2.5% of dedicated oil revenue to go into TVET. The President favorably commented on it, and I'm sure if Cabinet finds pleasure to approve it, it will change the ecosystem of the provision of technical vocational education in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, with emphasis, it has the solution to addressing Ghana's unemployment needs, particularly the unemployment of the youth who are looking for basic skills and training to improve their livelihood and to make meaningful contribution to our national development. I thank you.
Honourable Member, any supplementary question?
No supplementary question, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Let's move to question number 261. Standing in the name of Honorable Kwame Appiah Kondua, Member of Parliament for Fantiakwa North. You have the floor.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, with respect, my name is Kwame Appiah Kondua. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Very well.
I would like to ask the Minister for Education the measures the ministry has taken to complete the construction of Begro Presbyterian Senior High School Dining Hall
which is at the foundation stage with a kitchen complex and auxiliary facilities. Thank you, Honorable Wright.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Honorable Kwame Apia Kodua. Begro Presbyterian Senior High School is a mixed school located in the Fantuaka North District of the Eastern Region. The school has a population of 2,929, comprising of 1,600 males and 1,200 females. The construction of the dining hall at the Begro Senior High School was awarded to Messrs. The Paul Company Limited at the contract sum of $7 million. The project is being supervised by Messrs. Akito Consult. Works on the project is only 15% complete. Mr. Speaker, thankfully, the honorable member is asking the question at the time that I said that government wants to implement the Star J project. Under it, a number of senior high schools will be rehabilitated. Begro Presbyterian Senior High School will benefit from the initiative. I thank you.
Any supplementary question? Honorable Kwame Apia Kodua.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Except to thank the Minister very well for the assurance given to my constituents. We are so grateful.
Thank you. Question number 267, standing in the name of Emmanuel Tobin, Member of Parliament for Anya Suotum. Yes.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with the greatest of respect, I come under Order 8083, seeking your permission under the authorization of the honorable member to ask the question on
Please proceed.
Proceed. Speaker says proceed. Most grateful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand to ask the Minister for Education what the plans of the ministry are on the abandoned story building and 18-unit classroom block situated at Israel Park in the Ghana Central Municipality. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the tall 3-story 18-unit classroom block at the Israel Park in the Ghana Central Municipality is a GET Fund finance project. We started in August 2014. The project was awarded to Messrs. Crown of Victory and is currently at the ground floor deck level. The project has stalled due to funding challenges, and this has greatly affected the effective delivery of teaching and learning within the municipality. The ministry has taken note of this and has written to GET Fund to prioritize this project as a beneficiary school for the 2026 formula, and will engage the GET Fund to expedite action to get the contractor back to site. And Mr. Speaker, as I said, we are going to work on at least some 27 uncompleted GET Fund projects between now and December, so that into next year we can prioritize the rest. So, Mr. Speaker, we will look at this uncompleted structure. As I've said, we've had significant increase in the numbers of persons accessing secondary education. What we need to do is to accompany it with commensurate infrastructure of dormitory classrooms and then laboratories. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any supplementary?
Rightly so, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me thank the Honorable Minister for considering this important project in the 2026 formula. Mr. Speaker, I just want to find out from the Honorable Minister if indeed and in fact this particular project has been added to those under consideration for the 2026 GET Fund formula. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I would share the list with my colleagues, so maybe probably table it, but to be noted that work in progress. I am through the project unit reviewing this for 27 of the uncompleted GET Fund projects to go into completion. For some of them, we have to terminate the contracts because the contractors are not behaving responsibly, even per their own contract terms. And some of them don't find the cost acceptable to them because they are in it for purpose of profit. I won't be able to read immediately whether the Israel Park in the Ghana Central is part of it, but I'll be happy to share with the Honorable Buama the list when we are done. Shortly, you were not there when I told Mr. Speaker that the President you supported us in Takoradi Technical University, where we made a pledge that we remain committed to expanding financing for technical and vocational education. I see the Doctor, former Director General of TVET. President Mahama will improve upon what you left behind to make sure that we have expanded access to technical and vocational education to address the growing youth unemployment of our country. But Mr. Speaker, as I said, government policy is not to encourage in urban areas boarding schools. In rural peri-urban, we will encourage the siting of boarding schools so that the children learn and bond, get to know each other, and they get friends, lifetime friends as they learn. But in the urban areas like Ayawasu, Kasua, Tema, if you want to build a secondary school, you can do a community day school. Mr. Speaker, the fact is that government today is spending a lot of money on feeding. 4 billion of 9.6 billion allocated to get fund, some 3 to 4 billion will go into feeding. How much is left for infrastructure? How much is left for quality assurance and learning materials becomes a problem. So as a country, we would need to look at it. As I said, my proposal to the President is that this country must focus on investing more in basic education to get literacy and numeracy right. If a child gets it right with literacy, then learning success becomes an outcome that you can determine for that child. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That's why I've caught the speaker's side. Hear me. That's why I've caught the speaker's side. 30 seconds.
Confer with your leader. We agreed on one supplementary question. So we move to question number 284. Standing in the name of Honorable Felix Akwete Okle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Education the plans the ministry has to complete the construction of the following schools, which began in 2014 but abandoned in the Botiano English Yamanfru constituency. 1. Oshie AM Basic School, Tokome Basic School, Lamba Basic School, Galilea Basic School, Kokrobite Basic School, Amanflu Basic School, and Botiano MA Basic School. Thank you very much.
Yes, Honorable Minister, you have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. The free compulsory basic education was introduced in 1996 as a major government policy under the Education Reform Program to provide universal access to quality basic education for all Ghanaian children. Mr. Speaker, indeed, it is a constitutional imperative. The Constitution of 1992 provides that government shall take steps to provide for free compulsory universal basic education. As I indicated, Mr. Speaker, this is to ensure that literacy and numeracy is achieved at all levels for learners to begin their careers and academic journey well. The FQ policy was to ensure that every child of school-going age has access to free, compulsory, and quality basic education. The policy aims to increase access to education, achieve universal basic education, reduce illiteracy and promote equity in improving quality of learning. Let me assure my colleague that the Oshie MA Basic School, Chokomi MA Basic School, Langma Basic School, Galilea MA Basic School, Kokrobite MA School, Amanfro MA Basic School, and Botiano MA Basic Schools are all located in the Greater Accra region and will receive government attention, including the Batiano English Amanfo constituency in the Greater Accra region. But Mr. Speaker, of all the questions that have been asked today, you keep hearing that this contract was awarded 2010, 2014, 2012, and abandoned. The Constitution of 1992 in Article 34(7) provides, and Mr. Speaker, with your indulgence, I quote, "As far as practicable, a government shall continue and execute projects and programs commenced by the previous government." President Mahama will do just that. But it's regrettable that as a country, we invest taxpayers' money, abandon those projects, start new projects, we don't complete those projects, and yet the taxpayer gets suffered in Ghana. That is not right constitutionally. But Mr. Speaker, the problem with Ghana is that the previous administration introduced free senior high school. Mr. Speaker, this is a paradox. You haven't achieved free compulsory universal basic education and you have free senior high school. On what foundation? So the country needs to review, and that is why accordingly we reviewed aspects of the free senior high school, particularly in the area of infrastructure and financing. So Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to note that yet the previous government introduced free senior high school. President Mahama and the NDC, following the uncapping of the GET fund, provided adequate financing, sustainable, for the free senior high school feeding under the uncapped GET fund. And Mr. Speaker, I can say authoritatively that there is no food shortage anywhere in the country in any secondary school. What I have asked the GET fund and the Ghana Commodity Exchange and the buffer stock to avoid is the use of classrooms as storage facilities for those food supplied. That is unacceptable to government, and government will deal ruthlessly with those institutions that are engaged in that. Already when you don't have adequate classrooms, you go to get food into those classrooms. We don't find that acceptable. And Mr. Speaker, I can assure them that we are providing financing for feeding across the country, and the senior high school students across the country are happy. What they are not happy about is the infrastructure of dormitories and classrooms and laboratories. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member, any supplementary question?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. No supplementary question except to thank the Honourable Minister for Education.
Very well. We move to question number 285, standing in the name of Honorable Chuniboa Kodua Fokuo, Member of Parliament for Manso Nkwanta. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, with respect, I come under Order 883, having his permission and seeking your prior approval to add a question on his behalf.
He cannot permit you, he can only authorize you.
Sorry?
He can't permit you, he can only authorize you.
Yeah, so I seek your authorization to ask the question on his behalf.
Very well.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to, on behalf of the Honourable Member, to ask the Minister for Education when the Pechi Applied Technology Institute will be furnished with needed logistics such as classroom furniture, dormitory beds, transport facility, and finishing of the dining hall. Thank you.
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Pachi Applied Technology Institute, located in the Amansie West District of the Ashanti region, was established as part of government strategic effort to strengthen technical and vocational education and training, and to expand access to practical industry-relevant skills development. The institute was absorbed in October 2024 with enrollment of 77 students. Mr. Speaker, now we have 26 students. The institute's methodology is to equip young people with hands-on technical competences that enhance their employability and address youth employment. It also seeks to bridge the gap between theory and practice by delivering competency-based training aligned with labor market needs, whilst promoting entrepreneurship and self-reliance among graduates, particularly within Pachi and its surrounding communities. Mr. Speaker, the Applied Technology Institute is earmarked to benefit from government furniture for all under the Senior High School and TVET initiative. Mr. Speaker, the previous government expanded free senior high school to free TVET. The initiative has opened access to technical and vocational education across the country. What they lack again is infrastructure, no workshops, and work to industry relationship is not the best. We have the skills development project, which was being run by the Commission for Technical and Vocational Education. The Honourable Minister for Finance has just reviewed it and will be implementing same. Mr. Speaker, it's my intention that in the course of next year, Ghana should establish a Ghana Institute of Technology. We have earmarked some land around the OIC, just around the East Legon area, to build a Ghana Institute of Technology akin to what...
But I want to find out from him the transport that the member asked. When are you going to provide the transport for the institution? Aside the furniture you are going to provide, you also talk about transport. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the GET Fund, I understand, is in the process of procuring some 66-seater buses for a number of schools. It may not be adequate, but I'm sure from July, September, we should distribute some buses across the country to some of the senior high schools and technical vocational schools. We recognize that if, for instance, Prempeh College has to travel to even Nkawe, they must depend upon a school bus, or they have a debating competition, they must travel to St. Peter's in Kwao, they must have a school bus. Many of the schools are using buses as old as 2016, not in the best of shape because of poor maintenance and repairs. So a number of buses are being procured by the GET Fund and will distribute them when they come. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. And then, Mr. Speaker, is aware that government was expanding access to TVET institutions with a 158 million euro facility, which got stalled because of the debt exchange and Ghana defaulting. It is one of 14 projects being prioritized by the Minister for Finance, and as and when it happens, we'll prioritize a number of the TVET institutions. And then, Honorable Deputy Ranking Member, be assured that Mr. Speaker, through Mr. Speaker, I said that I'm working strongly to get cabinet approval to establish a TVET fund. In fact, I was at the UNESCO headquarters with you when we got presentation from 75 countries, best practice where TVET funds occur. Whether it's Kenya or it's Australia, I'm reviewing that for Ghana. My intention is that we should take 10% of GET fund, 9.9 billion, that will give you some 900 million for TVET. Then 2.5% oil revenue, that will give you some money. Then you can get the infrastructure done, then you use some of the money for tooling and equipping those TVET institutions. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, we'll move to the last question for the day. Question number 478, standing in the name of Dr. Fred Che Asamoah, Member of Parliament for Ofinsu North. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before my question, I would want to come in by way of information to just ended, with your leave, by way of information to the just ended question that regarding Pechi number 2.
Please, you don't have that right. Ask your question.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Education what steps the ministry is implementing to avert the impending strike over unpaid book and research allowances, and when these funds will be disbursed to prevent disruption in tertiary education. And this question.
Yes,
this question was
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the book and research allowance form part of the approved conditions of service for lecturers in public tertiary institutions negotiated between government and the University Teachers Association of Ghana in accordance with the Labour Act of 2003, Act 651. The allowance is implemented within the framework of the single spine salary structure, following approval processes coordinated by the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission and administered within the Tertiary Education Regulatory Mandate of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC. The allowance was introduced to support continuous research, professional development, and the preparation of quality teaching and learning materials by lecturers. It recognizes the unique nature of academic work, which requires sustained investment to maintain academic standards, promotes research output, and enhance the quality of tertiary education delivery. Mr. Speaker, with respect to the concerns raised by UTAC, I have personally met with them. I invited the lady president of UTAC and her national leadership to engage with me on the outstanding book and research allowance. I've accordingly conveyed a request letter to the Honorable Minister for Finance to pay the outstanding book and research allowance. Mr. Speaker, the debate is about what is going on in Ghana, whether the exchange rate, we should use the Baumia rate or the John Mahama rate of the exchange rate in order to be able to deal with that. I say, Mr. Speaker, naturally, those of them who would have calculated their book and research allowance at an exchange rate of $15, $16 would have expected to earn more. Thanks to our better management of the economy, the exchange rate is down, so they will get less. They are not happy about it. That's the dysfunction of it. So, Mr. Speaker, the book and research allowance, only on Wednesday, I got a text from the president of UTAC again that for them, what is important to UTAC is what exchange rate regime will be used. That is not determined by a Minister for Education. It's determined by the Minister for Finance. When he does that, I'll convey same to UTAC. I thank you.
Any supplementary question?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the answer given by the Honorable Minister. The Minister in his response stated that the 2025-2026 academic year, which will end July 10, has already been initiated. How can you assure this House that the ministry is going to help reduce the anxiety that comes with the delay in payment of this research and book allowance? You know, last year, and that's when this question
Honourable
was...
Member, you have asked your question. Advance your mind to Order 88.7. Yes, Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, have conveyed to me some assessment of this, for which I have forwarded to the Honorable Minister for Finance. Mr. Speaker, you will recall a matter which is of urgent concern to university teachers is about their retirement at 60 and the consequential directive that the President gave to persons at 60 proceeding on compulsory statutory retirement. The President gave an exemption, and we stand by that exemption, that it does not affect those in academia. So those of them who are lecturers, professors, are not affected by the compulsory retirement age of 60. And Mr. Speaker, sometimes it's good to learn some practical things on the ground, even as minister. Assuming a lecturer conduct exams in July, and his last birthday is 30th July. That same lecturer has to mark the papers in order that he can release the result. If you ask him to go on his 30th birthday, which is 60, it will affect.
Honorable member, why are you talking so loud? I can hear your voice, even from here. Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I was given a practical situation where a lecturer is asked to proceed on statutory retirement at 60. Yet that same lecturer, his last birthday may be 30th July. He's conducted exams in July. That lecturer must mark that exam script in order to give it to the university community for upgrade. So the president said that exempt academia from the compulsory retirement age of 60, but they have to come through GTEC, the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Because if we are not careful, some senior members who may be undeserving of the exemption may want that courtesy or privilege extended to them. So we are managing that in consultation. So my colleagues should be assured that the book and research allowance will be paid at an exchange rate determined by the Honorable Minister for Finance. Facilitation of payments by GTEC. Minister, I'm only responsible for policy. I thank you.
Honourable members, question time is ended. Majority Leader, any indication? Honourable Minister, we thank you for attending upon the House and responding to 10 questions slated for you. We are most grateful you are hereby discharged. Yes, Majority Leader.
So, Speaker, let's do the bills.
But let him acknowledge the schools.
Yeah, he will acknowledge the schools as he normally does, but once he's requested for direction, we have to give him the direction. So we want to start taking the bills, and then we'll start with the community service bill. The chairman is ready with his team to take us through some clauses, after which we'll also take some clauses of the family values bill.
Very well. Before doing that, let me crave your indulgence to announce the presence of some dignitaries in our midst. First on the list is Ayokoche, Traditional Authority, led by Berima Dr. Ayokoche Taino II. They are Chief of Suhum Ayokoche, Traditional Authority. They are from Suhum constituency and they numbered 17. We have Oyenam Autoimmune Foundation, Lepers Advocates. They are led by Ima Harm Sweetness. They have Executive Director. They are from Kole Clote constituency. They numbered 10. Then we have Bole Cocoa Research Junior High School, led by Abdullahi Haruna Obey. Coordinator, they are from Bole Bamboy. Your MP is seated here. May you kindly stand up for them to see. They numbered 50. We also have Expo Best Child School, led by Danley Sarafina, Assistant Head Teacher. They are from Ayawaso West. They numbered 35. Honourable members, on your behalf, I welcome all of them to Parliament of Ghana and urge them to have a fruitful visit to Parliament. Community Service Bill.
Mr. Speaker,
yes.
we have to take motion numbered 31 first.
Yes.
To abridge time for us to move to consideration.
Very well. Minister for Interior.
Minister is not available, so the Deputy Minister for Lands would want to showcase his capacities to his to the students from his constituency. So he will do us the honors, with your indulgence, Mr. Speaker, by moving motion number 31 so that his constituents can see.
Deputy Minority Leader. Deputy Minority Leader. The application is for the Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources to move the motion number 31.
Mr. Speaker, I don't have any objection.
Very well. Yes, Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, you may move motion number 31.
Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move motion number 31 that notwithstanding the provision of Order 1691 of the Standing Orders, which requires that when a bill has been read a second time, the bill shall pass through a consideration stage which shall not be taken until at least 2 sitting days have elapsed. The consideration stage of the Community Service Bill 2026 may be taken today. I so move. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. Honourable members, motion ably moved. Any seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Honourable members, motion moved and seconded. It is for the consideration of the House. This is a procedural motion. I will therefore put a question. The question is, as many as are in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Honourable members, the ayes have it. The motion is accordingly adopted. Now, the Community Service Bill 2026 at consideration stage. Clause 1. Chairman of the committee.
Clause 1, amendment proposed. Subclause 2, line 1, after facilities, delete and staff.
Chairman, let them read the clause 1 before.
Establishment of the National Community Service Secretariat.
Chairman of the committee.
Clause 1, amendment proposed. Subclause 2, line 1, after facilities, delete and staff.
Honourable members, that's the proposed amendment from the committee. It is for the consideration of the House. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, the chairman must explain himself. The Ministry of the Interior shall provide the facilities for the performance of the functions of the Secretariat. This is administrative. Why do you want to legislate on it? Because you would end up saying that the minister responsible to this bill is the Honorable Minister for the Interior. So, and two, Mr. Speaker, look at your head note. It reads, Establishment of the National Community Service Secretariat. So I want some explanation. The Minister of the Interior shall provide their facilities.
Honorable Leader, the amendment being proposed is to delete after facility and staff, so that the rendition will be the Ministry of Interior shall provide the facility for the performance of the functions of the Secretariat, not facilities and staff. So the proposal is to delete "and staff." Very well, I'll put a question. As many as are in favor of the proposed amendment, say aye. Aye. Those against, say no. Honourable members, the ayes have it. The amendment is accordingly carried and ordered to stand part of the bill. Yes.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, still under clause 1, subclause 2. No, that is on the amendment.
No, I put a question on the proposed amendment by the chairman of the committee.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I am moving or making the proposal that the entire clause, subclause 2, be deleted from this particular clause of 1, because clause 1 is dealing with the establishment of the secretariat. And per the way and manner in which we've been passing legislation here, you're talking about establishing the community service secretariat under the ministry. I believe that suffices. But when we introduce a subclause that is leading to provision of facilities for the particular secretariat, I believe that this particular subclause is irrelevant to the subheading of the bill. That is my proposal, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the clause deals with the establishment of the National Community Service Secretariat under the Ministry of the Interior. Now, for the Secretariat to function, it needs adequate facilities. So, Clause 2 then imposes an obligation on the Ministry of the Interior, under which the Secretariat is being established, to be responsible for providing facilities for the Secretariat to function effectively. So it flows. So we're establishing a Secretariat under the Ministry of Interior, and we want the Ministry of Interior to be responsible for providing facilities for the Secretariat to function. I don't see how that is a problem. That's the architecture of Clause 1.
Yes, you have the floor.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. I understand where leader is coming from, but I thought I believe that inherent in the establishment of this secretariat under the Ministry of Interior suffices that the Ministry of Interior will be providing the needed facilities for them. This doesn't amount to legislating on the Ministry of Interior providing facilities, because the clause 1 is saying it's established by this the National Commission under the Ministry of Interior. So why are we bringing a legislation to say that shall provide facilities? What is it about facilities here? Unless we define actually the kind of facilities that goes beyond provision of an office space or what have you for the effective functioning of it. So we should be a bit mindful in legislating some of these provisions. That is what I thought. It really, per the establishment of it under the Interior Ministry, we don't need to legislate the provision of facilities by the Ministry of Interior.
You see, Honourable Member, there is a difference here. If the establishment clause were to establish the Secretariat as a body corporate, then they are on their own. But in this case, they are establishing it under the ministry, and they do not even have the authority to acquire or enter into a contract. So they are imposing the obligation on the ministry to provide the facilities to ensure that the Secretariat runs. That clearly is the difference between the other renditions, regular renditions, and this particular rendition.
Mr. Speaker, you know you've been in this business for long, same as leader, but as a student of legislation, my argument is that if we had not said under the Ministry of Interior, establishing it under the Ministry of Interior, then I would buy into the argument that we need to create that institution that will provide for its provision of services. But once we've said that this secretariat is placed under the ministry, it's like any other agency or secretariat that the Ministry of Interior establishes. There is no other obligation than the ministry taking care of it. But if per the understanding of Speaker Leader, you think it doesn't amount to much, I can step my proposal down and then we continue. I thank you.
Very well. Majority Leader, let me hear
kindly step it down so
from the chairman of the committee. Very well. Chairman has been abandoned. Then I'll put a question on clause 1 as amended. Those in favor of clause 1 as amended, standing part of the bill, say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 1 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 2.
Objects of the Secretariat.
Chairman of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, we have no proposed amendments.
It is for the consideration of the House. Any proposed amendment to clause 2? Yes.
Mr. Speaker,
Minister for Education.
Clause 2. Objects of the Secretariat. It says in A, ensure high standards in the practice of alternative custodial sentencing. Then B, develop an alternative means. I'll come to it, Mr. Speaker, with your leave, to provide the word an alternative means, not just develop a means. But, Mr. Speaker, I want to hear from the chairman. The principle is that recidivism is popular in Ghana. Those who commit crime and the likelihood that they will want to commit crime is very high. Now, you want to use this to reduce the use of imprisonment as a sanction. So, Mr. Speaker, even in this clause, I thought that sanction relating to criminal offenses, is that not right? Sanctions, imprisonment relating to criminal offenses. Then, Mr. Speaker, they end with C. Enhance the use of non-custodial sanctions to encourage rehabilitation and social integration. My senior in the law is the chairman of the committee, the Honorable Agaga. He must know that rehabilitation and reformation are the key words when it comes to wanting to deal with these matters of crime. So, Mr. Speaker, I think that the draft person must rewrite the entire objects of the Secretariat, my view, as it stands now, to ensure higher standards, then develop an alternative means that I suggest to you, Mr. Speaker, to reduce the use of imprisonment as a sanction, and then enhance the use of non-custodial sentence. Mr. Speaker, it doesn't convey to me, you see, object is the end result. You want to achieve the end result. So your object is, this is what I want to attain. But you seem more here telling us what you will do. We want what you will attain. What do you want to achieve? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minister, before coming to Majority Leader, do you have any proposal that will translate into an amendment? Very well. Very well. I'll put a question to clause 2. As many as are in favor of clause 2 standing part of the bill, say aye. As many as are in favor of clause 2 standing part of the bill, say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 2 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 3.
Functions of the Secretariat.
Chairman of the committee.
Clause 3, amendment proposed. Paragraph A, after service, insert in accordance with this act. Mr. Speaker, the rationale is that we are deleting E, subclause E of clause 3. So if we delete E, it would make sense to do the insertion that is proposed. Thank you.
Very well, honorable members. The essence of adding in accordance with this act is the fact that they will abandon the clause E. Is that not so?
Speaker.
Very well. And clause E say take measures that are necessary to implement the national policy on community service orders. How could that be, Chairman of the committee?
Sorry, the E reads as follows. Take measures that are necessary to implement the policy on community service orders. Now, our argument is that the bill itself is a crystallization of policy. So we don't want to maintain the E to make it look as if reference is now being made to some other policy. The policy on non-custodial measures is what has crystallized into this bill, which is why...
Well, if you come to the E,
yes,
we'll deal with that.
That's right.
But for now, I think
all we are seeking...
to say that A, monitor the implementation of the community service in accordance with this act,
yes,
will not be a problem. So, honourable members, let's deal with that one first. Any further amendment? It is for the consideration of the House.
Mr.
Yes.
Speaker, I don't see any problem with that amendment.
Very well.
So
I'll put a question. As many as are in favor of the proposed amendment to clause 3A, say aye. Those against, say no. Honourable members, the ayes have it. Clause 3A, as amended, is ordered to stand part of the bill. Yes, Chairman of the committee.
Clause 3, amendment proposed, paragraph B, delete and insert the following. Coordinate and supervise the activities of regional community service committees.
Honourable members, the proposal is to delete paragraph B and insert the following per the order paper, page 13. It is for the consideration of the House. I'll put a question. As many as are in favor, say aye. Those against, say no. Honourable members, the ayes have it. The proposed amendment is ordered to stand part of the bill. Yes, Chairman of the committee.
Clause 3, amendment proposed, paragraph E, delete. Mr. Speaker, as I said earlier on, the deletion is important because the bill itself is the legal embodiment of the policy on non-custodial measures, rather than a reference to a different policy altogether. That is why we think it's appropriate to delete the B. Sorry, the E.
Chairman of the committee, don't you agree that the E is of omnibus in nature? Take measures that are necessary to implement the national policy on community service order.
Yeah, so, Mr. Speaker, we don't have a policy on community service orders. The only policy we have had is the policy in relation to this bill. And so once we're seized with the bill, the point we're making is that it is that policy that was conceived which has now crystallized into the bill. So, and therefore, if you maintain the E the way it is, somebody may think that we have a standalone policy other than this particular bill if it becomes law that can be referenced. I'll give Mr. Speaker an example. We have the national security policy. It's a standalone policy that can be referenced any day. At the same time, we have the National Security and Intelligence Agencies Act, which was recently passed. Now, if reference is made to national security policy, assuming reference has indeed been made in that particular act, you would be able to reference the existing national security strategy. But in respect of the community service orders, we don't have such a policy in existence. What was conceived by way of policy is what has crystallized into this bill that we are currently seized with and attempting to pass into law.
Well, I will want to improve it to say take measures that are necessary to implement any national policy on community service orders, so that in future, if there is a need and we have any, then measures will be taken to implement it.
Very well, Mr. Speaker. We're guided by Mr. Speaker's wisdom in these matters.
Very well. So own the amendment and let's make progress. So abandon.
Very well, Mr. Speaker, I would accordingly abandon the proposed amendment to delete E and to proceed to now propose that the wording in E be amended to read as follows. Take measures that are necessary to implement any policy on community service orders.
Any national policy. All that we are doing is that in the same rendition, after implement, delete the and insert any.
Very well.
So the new rendition will be take measures that are necessary to implement any national policy on community service orders.
Very well, Mr. Speaker, we are guided.
I'll put a question. As many as are in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The proposed amendment is ordered to stand part of the bill. Now, clause 4. Chairman of the clause 4.
Yes. Won't you read the title?
Very well. Let me put a question on the entire clause 3. As many as are in favor of clause 3, as very, yes.
With respect. Mr. Speaker, I want to look at I manage and monitor the implementation of this act. My contention is that if you look at A, that talks about monitor the implementation of community service in accordance with this act. I see a similarity between the two, with the exception of manage that is omitted in A, because both talk about the act, because the bill is about community service act, and I talks about manage and monitor the implementation of this act. So I'm suggesting that I should be deleted. Otherwise, the two, for me, appear the same. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
To delete that.
Mr. Speaker, I think he's right. A already talks about monitoring B, C, D, E, F, G, H are all talking about managing. And so to state again that manage and monitor is repetitive. So I support his proposal that we delete I.
Chairman of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, I concur with the proposal to delete I. It's actually repetitive.
If you look at the entire bill, it goes, the act or this bill, when it becomes law, goes beyond community service. So therefore, the implementation of the act goes beyond the community service per se.
Yes, Speaker.
You see, when people are convicted, instead of custodial sentence, then is committed to a non-custodial sentence, and then you have to serve in the community. That is an aspect of the act. But the act is even talking about establishing National Community Service Management Board, Regional Community Service Management Board, District Community Service Management Board. So to monitor the implementation of the act has got to do with monitoring of all those things, including payment of allowances and all those things. But the community service per se, somebody is supposed to be in prison 1 year for stealing goods. The judge has the discretion after the passage of this law to say that because of what you have done, we will not sentence you to 1 year imprisonment, but you are going into this community to do A, B, C, D. You understand? And that one must be monitored to ensure that the convicted person is performing what he or she is supposed to perform. But the act goes beyond that. Yes?
Yes, Speaker. Per your logic and exposition, I am still convinced and persuaded that one of the two must go. If A is broadened to capture I, it will make much sense than, with all due respect, to keep them. And also, if you look at the last paragraph, J, it talks about the fact that the Secretariat can perform any other function that is necessary for the attainment of the objects of the Secretariat. So without I, it is still in the bosom of the Secretariat to come up with any other function to help them to do the monitoring. So, Mr. Speaker, let us do away with one.
No, if your argument is anything to go by, we should have the J and forget about the rest. J is just the omnibus clause, meaning that in interpreting these functions, you have to use them generis. Any other ancillary function that is not included in A to I, this J, once it is ancillary, this J will allow that particular function to be performed. That is the purpose that the J is saying. But if the sense of the House is for us to delete it.
Speaker.
Yes.
I am of the view, and I was actually conferring with my senior colleague, Patrick Boama, that if you take A and I see management as part and parcel of the functions of the Secretariat. The function of the Secretariat is to manage. They manage all of these things that have been outlined. From where you expanded the implementation of this act, as in monitor the implementation of this act, if we take away the manage end and then leave I to be monitor the implementation of this act, that for me would be accommodative. But to say manage and monitor, the management aspect of it for me has already been catered for by the other clauses. But from the extension, because as you rightly indicated, the A is talking about implementation of community service, which is a subset of many other functions of the Secretariat and then the Act. And so it wouldn't be out of place to have a function to monitor the implementation of the entirety of the provisions of the Act. So I would propose that we rather delete the manage and allow monitor the implementation of this Act to stand. I so submit, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. The proposal is to delete the word manage, but not to delete the entire I. Yes, Honorable Ntim Fojo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The essence of maintaining I as manage and monitor the implementation of this Act is very sound. Any attempt to delete it will veer away from the very important, function of the Secretariat, which in the earlier submission by the Speaker, as you rightly explained, community service is just the alternative non-custodial sentencing that the judiciary may pass in respect of offenses that fall under this Act. But there's a lot that goes into the implementation of this entire Act, which after coming into force of this Act, regulations will be required to be passed. So you cannot say that management should be taken aside for the functions to be restricted only to monitoring. We're expecting the Secretariat to manage and monitor. And so the two are very essential. Deleting one will fall short of the intendment of the function. Thank you.
Because if you look at clause 29 of the bill, it talks about establishment of rehabilitation fund as a component of this particular act. So that fund must also be managed. They will not only monitor the fund, but they will manage that fund too. So if you look at the bill in its entirety, you will realize that the use of the word manage is not misplaced.
Yes, let me hear. There's how people say too much meat doesn't spoil the soup. Too much meat doesn't spoil the soup. To eat too much meat doesn't spoil the soup.
So we can just maintain
a language. We can maintain the clause
other than English that you will be compelled by our rules to translate it into English. But he is speaking English, he cannot translate into Twi. Yes. Do I put a question on entire clause 3? All those in favor of clause 3 as amended, standing part of the bill, say aye. Say aye. Those say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 4 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 5.
Composition of the Management Board.
Chairman of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, amendment proposed, subclause 1, paragraph F, subparagraph V, line 1, after Controller General, insert of the Immigration Service. This...
Honourable members, the proposed amendment is for the consideration of the House, is to cure ambiguity as to which Controller General is being referred to. So the proposal is to add Immigration Service. I'll put a question. All those in favor say aye. Aye. No. question on the proposed amendment. Those in favor say aye. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. On same clause. Very well, very well. I will rescind my...
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, I was just wondering whether perhaps a better rendition wouldn't be the Comptroller General of the Immigration Service, not below the rank of Deputy Comptroller General, and then delete of the Immigration Service. It does seem a bit repetitive. It would appear to me that if you put Immigration Service in the initial part of the clause, it should...
Comptroller General. Is that not so? So why do you bring not below the rank of Deputy Comptroller General of Immigration Service?
Honorable Speaker, because it says a representative of in clause F, subclause F. It says a representative of, and then V says the Comptroller General.
Yes, that is why it must be a representative of the Comptroller General of Immigration Service.
Correct.
So that you will not say...
No, but my proposal is to maintain this new rendition, but to remove the one after Deputy Comptroller General.
No, if you don't bring it in line 1 and line 2, it may create ambiguity. Because the Deputy Comptroller General, too, you are talking about Deputy Comptroller General of Immigration Service.
Those provisions so that if I were to take you to clause 14F, we now have the regional commander of the Immigration Service or a representative of the regional commander of the Immigration Service, not below the rank.
Yes.
So a superintendent.
That is in conformity with the amendment you are proposing here.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because in clause 14, you mention the Immigration Service in clause 1, in line 1, and you mention it again in line 2. You are stating the full rank of the person, just for clarity. So that is why the current proposal that we are making is in order. So I'll put a question. As many as are in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The proposed amendment by the chairman of the committee is ordered to stand part of the bill. Yes, chairman of the committee is still on clause 5.
Amendment proposed. Subclause.
Yes.
The same clause 5F V, Roman numeral 5. I think that's what we just dealt with. So the last clause still, the last line of that subclause, the nominated by the Comptroller General, we left that without fully spelling out the of Immigration Service.
Yes. Yes, but that one is cured by saying the. But we can add the Immigration Service to it.
The first one also has the Comptroller General.
Yes.
First one also has the Comptroller General.
Yes, so we can add the Immigration Service
exactly.
to it.
So I move for a further amendment for clarity that they should also fully spell out the rank of the Comptroller
Well, I will direct the drafters to tidy this up for us. Yes. Yes.
Speaker, I need your guidance. The Comptroller of Immigration, not below the rank of a Deputy Comptroller of the Immigration Service. But consistently, when you look at the other security institutions representation, you have C, Inspector General of Police, a rep not below the rank of Assistant Commissioner, then you of Police. Then you go to Prison Service, Director General of Prison Service, or a rep not below the rank of Assistant Director of Immigration. So I don't understand why at the immigration.
So let's deal with this.
That's what I
when we come there and you have a proposal, then you can make the proposal.
Very well. That's why I
Because,
said I needed your guidance. Okay.
Commissioner of Police, simpliciter is a rank. Yes, so let's deal with this. I'm directing the drafters to tidy it up for us, and I'll put a question subject to the drafters helping us in this regard. So the question is, as many as are in favor say aye. Those against say no. Honourable members, the ayes have it. The proposed amendment is ordered to stand part of the bill subject to the drafters tidying it up for us. Yes, Chairman of the committee, your last amendment to clause 5. No,
last but one.
Yeah, last but one.
So, amendment proposed, subclause 1, add the following new paragraph after paragraph G. A representative of traditional authorities nominated by the National House of Chiefs. Mr. Speaker, the rationale for this proposed amendment is to provide the management board with the traditional authority and grassroots legitimacy necessary to facilitate the effective reintegration of offenders within local communities through community service. So we recognize the important.
The proposed amendment is for the consideration of the House. Honourable members, any further amendment? I'll put a question. As many as are in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The proposed amendment is ordered to stand part of the bill. Yes, VII. Clause 5.
Amendment proposed. Add the following new subclause after subclause 2. The minister shall, in making an appointment under this section, have regard to gender balance. Mr. Speaker, the rationale is simple and straightforward. It is to provide for compliance with the Affirmative Action Gender Equity Act 2024 and ensure gender sensitivity.
Well, don't you think you are going to create a problem for the minister in view of the fact that all these are institutional representation? How does the minister control this?
Mr. Speaker, that is why from the outset, that same law requires. For instance, we're talking about institutional representation from the police service, immigration service, prisons, fire service. If the appointments are streamlined, if gender mainstreaming is adhered to, then at this point where the minister has to take into account gender considerations, he shouldn't be constrained.
No, but this one, you are imposing the obligation on the minister.
Yes.
So if it happens that in the hierarchy, you are saying the person should not be below the Deputy Comptroller General, and unfortunately, all are men or all are women, and you come to the police service, the commissioners and the deputy commissioners are all one sex. Definitely, the law is saying that the representative of the institution must not go below that particular rank. And the minister is not going to tell the Ghana Police Service or the Ghana Immigration Service that bring this particular person. They do their nomination to represent. So if you are giving this particular obligation to the minister to ensure, the minister may have a difficulty. Yes, Majority Leader.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, you know, our own legislation passed by this Parliament imposes an obligation to meet certain quotas when it comes to employment and appointments. And so once agencies are under you, and the law says that in constituting a board, you must ensure gender balance, it becomes your responsibility as a minister to engineer the various agencies to have the requisite number of women well positioned to occupy that place. So if you write a letter to Ghana Immigration Service and say, bring me a deputy director, not below the rank of X, it now becomes the responsibility of Immigration Service, if they don't have one, to immediately promote one to that rank and now present that person to you for appointment. So by legislating it, we as the Parliament have assisted for women to be given opportunities, so that they can serve on the board. I'm all in favor of this.
Yes, my worry is imposing that obligation on the minister.
Yes, because the agencies that we have enumerated are all under that minister. So the agencies are all under that minister. And so he has to choose among the various agencies which of them he's assigning the responsibility to provide the women who will constitute the numbers that will ensure gender equity. So all the agencies are under the same minister: Fire Service, Immigration, Prison Service, and then which other one? And then Police. They're all under the same minister. So he has to balance it and say, okay, I'll take two women. So one will come from Immigration, one will come from Fire Service. Then for the men, Police Service, and then so the minister should do that. Let's innovate and have this provision.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I agree that we maintain this amendment that the minister, in making an appointment under this section, have regard for gender balance. Yes, of course, about 3 of the agencies, Police, Immigration, and the other relevant agency under the Ministry of Interior, have interactions with the ministerial oversight of the minister. In addition to that, the minister has occasion to influence 2 more representations, even one, the national coordinator of the Secretariat, and a representative of the Ministry of Interior, not below the rank of a director. So in ensuring all these appointments are made, it is incumbent on the minister, in line with international best practice of affirmative action, which this Parliament is a very strong advocacy for, including your good self, that in an event where it turns out that all these representations, institutional representations, turn out to be of only one gender, the minister, in considering the appointment of the other 2, which are now even under his direct purview, must have such sensitivity to ensure that there is gender balance, or at least there is
we are speaking the same language. I am only talking about the practicality of it.
Yeah, so Mr. Speaker, the practicality of it is that
he doesn't have a free role. You are there because you are a deputy controller general. You are there because you are a deputy commissioner. You understand? So that is institutional representation. So you don't have a hand to say that this. What the majority leader said, that you can promote somebody to that particular position to be able to send the person to represent, would that be in line with their promotion criteria?
Oh, Mr. Speaker,
that is also another problem. But if the sense of the House is for us to maintain it,
Mr. Speaker, practically at any point in time, you find, Mr. Speaker, at any point in time, practically, you are likely to find various gender on the rank of ACP. You are likely to find different 2 gender on the rank of the equivalent in the prison service and the equivalent in the immigration service. But even where all those institutional representations fail to have regard for gender balance, then the minister, in appointing the national secretariat, the national coordinator for the secretariat, and in nominating a representative of the Ministry of Interior, not below the rank of a director, will now balance out to ensure that there is gender balance. So, Mr. Speaker, practically, this this provision is very much in line.
Then I can put a question. Okay, I'll come to the chairman and then put a question.
Mr. Speaker, just few comments here. First and foremost, the law, as we are looking at now, is imposing the obligation to appoint to the director generals or the heads of those institutions, not the ministry, nor the minister. So we shouldn't suggest that in the minister doing this appointment, he is going to control and determine whom and the representation that should come from the sector ministry of the sector security agency. So we should be very careful. If we want the representation to be women, then let's legislate clearly and say
on
that
the institutions.
on these institutions, the representation should be women. But you cannot.
The institutions in bringing the representation should have regard to gender balance.
Yes.
Because the minister is going to appoint the people that the institutions bring.
Yes.
That is the responsibility of the minister. So for instance, if they say Ministry of Health, it is the responsibility of the Ministry of Health to ensure that whoever is representing the ministry is a woman.
Speaker, exactly.
But you are rather imposing the obligation on the minister.
Exactly. So
yes.
Okay. Mr. Speaker, I have a difficulty here. The proposal from Honorable Boaman, because the institutions are presenting only one person.
Yes.
So if you tell them they should have regard for a woman.
Yes.
And all of them present male nominees.
Yes.
What happens? If they are presenting two people,
that is
then
why
they can make provision for a woman.
Yes,
Honorable Richard Champo. Presenting one each.
Honorable Richard Champo, we are speaking the same language. Yes. The same language in the sense that the minister doesn't have the obligation to ensure that it is A that will represent immigration service, it is B that will represent the police service. That responsibility is on the institution. Because it's an institution that is supposed to send representative. For instance, if you are asking that Ministry of Health should bring a representative to Parliament, it is the Ministry of Health that will decide who they should send to Parliament. You understand? So if the Ministry of Health so decides that whoever they are bringing is a woman, the minister shouldn't have a problem.
Then, if you are not careful, we will give the opportunity for the minister to still influence the appointment process. Because if he gets to know that all the nominees presented to him are male, he'll find a way of influencing the institutions to nominate a woman. So they are trying to use 5 to the new provision to cure it. But let's find a nice way of dealing with it. If not, the minister will use the back door to influence their decisions.
Honourable members, once we are imposing the obligation on the minister, can we zero it down to where the minister has a right to do nomination?
Mr. Speaker, we have already made that provision. Already in the same clause.
So we should do the cross-referencing.
Yes.
That the minister in making nomination under clause F 2, 3, 4 shall have regard to that one. You are imposing the obligation on the minister.
So, Mr. Speaker, with that, with your guidance, we are making reference to 5I and 5H in those cases that are under the direct purview of the recommendation by the minister.
Yes.
You should have regard for
that to that one.
But even without those specific references,
as for that one,
making indications for gender balance and affirmative action is a practice that is commonly promoted.
Should be the minister shall, in making nomination under sub-clause so and so, then have regard to gender balance. Then that one, the obligation can rest squarely on the minister. Yes, that one can cure the mischief. Yes, because I foresee a situation where the Immigration Service will be telling the minister that why are you dictating to us who should represent us on this board? Telling police service that why are you dictating to us who should this thing? Why are you asking us to promote somebody to this particular level because of this representation? So when where the minister have a direct opportunity to nominate, when we impose that obligation on the minister, then he can use his discretion and make all women in order to balance it.
Speaker, in as much as I agree with this particular proposition that we should tie the minister's hands to appointments that he or she directly makes, what the fundamental question I want to ask is whether or not the Affirmative Action Act 2024 imposes obligations on agency heads such as the IGP, the Controller General of Prisons, etc., so that if the minister has to make appointments, regardless of the fact that they are institutional representatives, the minister would be bereft of the power to insist that IGP, you have to respect the Affirmative Action Act by ensuring that your nominee, that is if there are no adequate quotas for, let's say, female representation, must be female. To the extent that if an IGP or Controller General hasn't got female representation, that then becomes
you are the chairperson for security and intelligence.
Interior and defense,
How many,
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, interior and defense. How many police commissioners do we have?
Female commissioners.
How many male commissioners do we have?
Male commissioners?
Yes.
Oh, we have quite enough. They are in the majority, but we have a number of female commissioners.
When you come to Controller General of Immigration Service, how many of them are female?
For now, but we have commissioners who are female, but not deputy control. We used to have.
So from deputy controller general going forward, you see, that is to avoid the problem. It's to avoid the problem because you don't know what will happen in future. So, for instance, as we are speaking, that the Deputy Controller General, up to Controller General of Immigration Service, we don't have a female in that particular category. What is the Immigration Service going to do? Do you understand? So, in order to, law is just a communicative action. In order to avoid that problem happening, and in view of the fact that it is not the minister that have control over who should be the representative of these institutions. He does the appointment. Let's impose the obligation on the minister where he has to do the nomination and appointment. So in that case, he is under obligation because the word that we are using here is not may, it's shall.
Mr. Speaker, agreed.
It shall. Yes, I think the Deputy Minister for Health does not agree with me.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the mischief that this clause was trying to solve or to cure is so that all the representatives don't end up being men.
Yes. So this one, all the representatives will not end up being men in the sense that the minister has a say in nominating.
I think that even from where the institutions are bringing in the representative, we need to build into it so that even if...
Let me ask you this question. As we speak right now, currently, if you are to appoint a person below the rank of Deputy Controller General, there is no female in that particular category, what will the minister do when it is shall?
leader said then he promotes a woman and the woman is representing.
You see, you are going to distort the promotion criteria. That will be more problematic. You see, for me, what will happen is that I'm on the same rank with you. We all deserve to be promoted. We have to attend promotion interview. But as a result of this, you are going to promote a woman over men. That will bring a problem in the structure. You understand? But the minister has the power to nominate, unfettered power to nominate. So in doing his nomination, he can decide that all the people that I'm going to nominate should be female. Because it's imposing obligation that shall. But if you impose the obligation and there is a difficulty getting from the category like that of the immigration service, then there is a challenge. You pose a challenge to the minister. So you pass the law, all right, but you have a difficulty in having the law implemented. A typical example, when we passed the law on affirmative action, we stated that by 2026, female representation in parliament should be 30%. What is the female representation in parliament? Is it up to 30%? So how? Is the law being implemented? Do we want to pass a law which will remain in our books, or we want the law being implemented? Because we indicated on this floor that at the material time that we are passing the law, you can count the number of female who file nomination to contest election. And it is not the case that all of them will win the election. So the law that we are passing to say that 30% by 2026 should be female. Meanwhile, it is only 2028 that will be doing another election. How do we achieve that 30% representation? It ends up to be 14%. So are we operating in accordance with the law? Yes or no? So we will pass a similar law. Owing to this, it will not materialize. That is the worry. So the minister has opportunity to nominate, not institutional representation. The minister can nominate. So those that the minister has a right to directly nominate, let the minister do that, having regard to gender balance, so that we can leave the institutions that whoever is occupying that particular position, you understand? Then the person comes to represent. For instance, if today you are looking for a deputy minister of health to represent the health ministry, the occupant of that particular position is a female. So automatically, it's going to be the female occupying that particular position. On the other hand, if you are looking for deputy minister of health, and the deputy minister of health is a male, automatically, once the law says deputy minister, it is that deputy minister that will go. That is the understanding of institutional representation. So, we would again ask the drafters to tidy this up and zero it, the obligation of the minister to the provisions where the minister is to do nominations. So I'll put a question. As many as are in favor say aye. Aye. As many as are in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The proposed amendment, subject to same being tidied up by the drafters, is ordered to stand part of the bill. Yes, we are still on clause 5. Honorable Bowman.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to draw our attention to the number of representation. It used to be 13. With the addition of the rep from the National House of Chiefs, it comes to 14 for a management board of the institution. I'm struggling to know the services, for example, that the fire service representative and that of the comptroller would be traditionally bringing to bear for the purposes of this particular secretariat. Because there are many times you don't need these institutional reps, but there will be collaboration between the secretariat and them. So you bring members that goes to the core, representations that goes to the core. So I'm making, first I wanted the chairman of the committee to give us some rationalization of these two institutional representations, else we get them deleted, so we can regulate and reduce and minimize the number of the management committee. Thank you, Speaker.
Yes, Chairman of the committee.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleague has made a valid point, but the issue is that here we're dealing with community service as an alternative to custodial sentencing. Now, for purposes of effective implementation, there are districts and municipalities in this country without prisons facilities. But if you go through the act, you find that the prison service has been identified as the state institution with the statutory duty to manage convicts. But they have sister security agencies, so that in areas where you don't find the prisons, you will definitely find fire service or immigration service or the police service. That is why we think it is important that you list all those agencies under the Ministry of Interior for purposes of effective implementation. I'll give you an example. If you go to my constituency, we don't have a prisons facility. The leader's constituency has a prisons facility. So how do you implement community service in Bulsa North? You would definitely have to fall on either immigration service officers or fire service officers to fill the gap that otherwise would have been created.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, I thought the whole objective of community service is to do away with prison service. I thought that was the whole objective. So if not having a prison is considered as a disadvantage in implementing community service, I find that quite interesting. So for municipalities and districts that don't have prisons, I think that the absence of prison officers on the board shouldn't be a problem. And I agree with what you are suggesting, but I also think that the way that it has been rendered, people are going to say that for every board, you must have all these officers there. So it actually will make it more expensive, because then your district will have to look to Navrongo to provide a prison officer to be on the board of your district. Let's say Zebila will have to look to Boku for a prison officer to be on the board of Binduri and Zebila and then Garut Mpane and then etc. So if you want to couch it so that you have representation from that service, if that service has a presence in that district, then the rendition will have to be different. Because that's what I'm getting from your explanation, that if that service has a presence in the district, then they will provide representation to constitute the board. But the way it is rendered, it means that for every board to actually be complete, it must have representation from all these services, whether or not that service has a presence in that district or municipality.
So, Mr. Speaker, yes, the leader's point I can appreciate, but for purposes of practice, what is the practical situation on the ground? And here we have to take into account the overall population of our prison service. It is. So given that for purposes of implementation, you would have to fall on the ground. At the national level, you need to have to be there. So that is where they take the strategic decisions. So if you exclude them at that level, you create gaps at the district level where prisons may not be present, you see.
Okay. So, Speaker, just a brief final comment on this. Leader, I'm looking at the functions of the management committee. The management board shall ensure the efficient and effective performance of the functions of the secretariat. And as you rightly said, I was also linking it to the establishment of this at the regional and the district level, where you have all of these institutions representation. So if in the wisdom of the committee and the sponsor of the bill, they think that we need all of these institutions to be present for the management of this particular job to be fully executed, I don't have any hesitation.
Very well. Very well. So, honourable members, in the absence of any further consideration, I'll put a question. Yes?
Okay.
Same on clause 5. The representation needs to be stratified. For instance, we're saying that the representative of the IGP or an officer not below the rank of ACP. But when it comes to immigration, we are saying that the Controller General of Immigration or his rep not below the rank of Deputy Controller General, which is just a rank beneath. So in stratifying that, I propose an amendment that the representative of the Controller General not below the rank of a Deputy Commissioner. Deputy Commissioner. The Deputy Commissioner has about 3 ranks, and these are all very senior roles. And any of these...
Which clauses are you referring to?
Clause
First,
5.
we refer to C.
Clause 5.
C. The Inspector General of Police or a representative of the Inspector General of Police not below the rank of Assistant Commissioner of Police nominated by the Inspector General of Police.
Very well, Mr. Speaker. So reference to that in FV,
yes,
my proposal is that the Controller General of Immigration, not with reference from the F, of course, a representative of the Controller General of Immigration, not below the rank of a Deputy Commissioner of Immigration nominated by the Controller General, so that they are all in sync and in line, because those regimental positions are aligned. So Assistant Commissioner of Police is equivalent to that.
Assistant Commissioner Police.
For whatsoever reason, that limited the representative of the Controller General to a rank just beneath him.
My position.
No, we have commissioners. We have commissioners in immigration. So from Controller General, come to Deputy Controller General, you come to Commissioner, Deputy Commissioner, and then Assistant Commissioner.
Deputy Commissioner, DCOP, of Immigration is at the same level with DCOP, Deputy Commissioner of Police. But here, they've pegged it at ACP, Assistant Commissioner of Police.
In this case, I'm moving that the equivalent rank in immigration, which in this case will be Assistant Commissioner of Immigration, must be the rendition in FV.
Below.
FV. Thank you.
We should step it below.
Yes.
Yes. Below the Deputy Controller General.
To ACI, to Assistant Commissioner of Immigration.
That's the FV. To be coterminous to the rank 3 in the police service. But this one remains the second rank. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the agencies have come of age. So if you consider that Immigration Service until recently had the director as the head of service, but currently we now have the controller as overall boss, deputy controllers, commissioners, deputy commissioners. They've aligned their ranking system to that of the police.
Yes.
So I think I would agree with my ranking member.
So I intend to relax the rules and take this particular amendment into consideration and put a question again on this amendment regarding clause 5FV. So, Honorable Ntim Fojo, move your amendment and I'll put a question on it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I propose that clause 5FVI be read: the Controller General of Immigration, not below the rank of Assistant Commissioner of Immigration Service, nominated by the Controller General. I so move.
As many as are in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The proposed amendment to clause 5FV is ordered to stand part of the bill. Now I'll put a question on the entire clause 5. As many as are in favor of clause 5 standing part of the bill say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 5 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 6.
Functions of the Management Board.
Mr. Speaker, we have no proposed amendments.
It is for the consideration of the House. Honourable members, any proposed amendment? In the absence of any amendment, I'll put a question. As many as are in favor of clause 6 standing part of the bill say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 6 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 7.
Duties and liabilities of a member of the Management Board.
Chairman of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, we have no proposed amendment.
It is for the consideration of the House. Honourable members, any proposed amendment to clause 7? In the absence of any proposed amendment, I'll put a question. As many as are in favor of clause 7 standing part of the bill say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 7 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 8.
Tenure of office of members of the Management Board.
Chairman of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, we have no proposed amendments.
It is for the consideration of the House.
Standard.
Yes, Honorable Boama.
Mr. Speaker, if you go back to the appointment of the members of the board, he says that the minister shall, on the authorization, and I mean here 5, 1 each, the 2, 5, 2, the minister shall, on the authorization in writing of the president, appoint members of the management board. So I'm having difficulty as to how the president would directly may, in writing, that is 8.5, address to a member, revoke the appointment of the member. I'm having difficulty with the appointment process and the revocation of the member's appointment. I believe that the revocation should be under the authorization of the minister rather than the president.
Look at Article 1952. Article 1952.
No, but that is, sorry.
Yes, 1952. So, read it.
Speaker, with your permission, I read 195(2).
Yes.
Of the Constitution. The President may, subject to such conditions as he may think fit, delegate some of his functions under this article by directions in writing to the Governing Council.
Yes.
Concerned, or a committee of the Council.
Yes.
Or to any member of that Governing Council or to any public officer. 3, the power to appoint persons to hold or act in an office in a body of higher education, research, or professional training shall vest in the Council of...
That one is different. So if you read 1951, the President has the exclusive preserve to do the appointment. Now, 2 is saying that the President may, however, delegate this particular power. But the fact that the President has delegated the power does not take away the ultimate responsibility. So if the law is saying that though you are appointing, if a position becomes vacant, I give you the authority to appoint. Inform me of that particular vacancy. I don't think it is in violation of the Constitution. Yes, Honorable Tim.
Yeah, rightly so, Honorable Speaker. I think that the very legitimate concern of my colleague, respected colleague, is addressed in clause 21, where it talks about the appointment of the national coordinator. Herein, the President shall, in accordance with Article 195 of the Constitution, appoint a national coordinator for the Secretariat.
Yes.
So in that regard, that concern is taken care of, because the President appoints and under same condition has the power to revoke.
So the President, even in appointing the national coordinator, can choose to delegate that particular power to the minister. But the ultimate responsibility is not taken away from the President. So I'll put a question on clause 8. As many as are in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 8 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 9.
Meetings of the Management Board.
Chairman of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, we have no proposed amendments.
It is for the consideration of the House. Honourable members, any proposed amendment to clause 9? In the absence of any proposed amendment, I'll put a question. As many as are in favor of clause 9 standing part of the bill say aye. As many as are in favor of clause 9 standing part of the bill say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 9 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 10.
Disclosure of interest.
Chairman of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, we have no proposed amendments.
It is for the consideration of the House. Honourable members, any proposed amendment to clause 10? In the absence of any proposed amendment, I'll put a question. The question, therefore, is as many as are in favor of clause 10 standing part of the bill say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 10 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 11.
Establishment of committees.
Chairman of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, no proposed amendments.
It is for the consideration of the House. Honourable members, any proposed amendment to clause 11? In the absence of any proposed amendment, I'll put a question. As many as are in favor of clause 11 standing part of the bill say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 11 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 12.
Allowances.
Chairman of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, we have no proposed amendments.
It is for the consideration of the House. Honourable members, any proposed amendment? In the absence of any proposed amendment, I'll put a question. As many as are in favor of clause 12 standing part of the bill say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 12 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 13.
Policy directives.
Chairman of the committee.
We have no proposed amendments. Thank you.
It is for the consideration of the House. Honourable members, any proposed amendment? In the absence of any proposed amendment, I'll put a question to clause 13. As many as are in favor of clause 13 standing part of the bill say aye. As many as are in favor of clause 13 standing part of the bill say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 13 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Yes. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we agree to stop at clause 13. So let me thank the chairman and his team for taking us up to clause 13. Mr. Speaker, if we can continue the consideration stage of the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill as well.
Very well. Yes.
Speaker, I'm not opposed to the application by the majority leader for us to suspend consideration on this bill, since there was an agreement to end it at clause 13. But, Mr. Speaker, I would want to strongly propose to the leader of the House to make room for us to winnow the bill, though we've started. I have some very serious proposed amendments, but I feel that it can be of greater value if we discuss it at winnowing so that we can build consensus prior to coming to the House. Because, Mr. Speaker, this bill is talking about community service, but the minister drew our attention to a serious concern regarding how bail is abused by the police and the judiciary. That was the minister's concern. And I believe that looking at the bill as it is, it appears that nothing at all is said about bail conditions, terms of bail. In fact, Mr. Speaker, some members in the academia have been reaching out on whether or not Parliament could pass a bail act. And I mentioned to them that this community service bill is being introduced. So, Mr. Speaker, it appears that there is some appetite to look at a broader way of ensuring that rights are protected, especially when people face criminal charges. So, Mr. Speaker, it's a very humble application that I would want to put across to the leader of the House, and perhaps if that is considered, we would be able to enrich this law to address some of the onerous bail conditions that in itself is more than a punishment, as if the person has been convicted, especially the recent news we've been hearing about misdemeanor offenses, being subjected to very onerous bail conditions. If we include all of that in this bill, and the final law that is assented has in it all of these provisions, that when it's a misdemeanor, indeed, there cannot be an issue of remand when the offense is misdemeanor. I don't think that we should leave that to regulations and all of that. And it is going to help all of us, because, Mr. Speaker, nobody knows when something like that may befall him or her. Mr. Speaker, I so submit and pray that there will be an opportunity to deal with this at winnowing.
Majority Leader.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, I have always said that we do winnowing not when committees submit many amendments to a bill that they have considered, that we have referred to them to consider. We only do winnowing, in my opinion, when members have proposed amendments and the numbers become unwieldy. So we decide to refer the matter to winnowing. But once the recommended amendments are coming from our committee, then there's nothing to winnow. So if you want us to do any winnowing, you will have to advertise your amendments. When you advertise your amendments, and we see that there are many, but all that you have said is just one clause amendment, which is to have an amendment that relates what we are proposing to also those who are serving bail terms. That's what I see you trying to say we should capture in this bill. But you introduce it. Let's see if it sits in well with the object of this bill. Because this bill is not dealing with the processes leading up to conviction. The processes leading up to conviction is where bail is an issue. We are dealing with after conviction and you are being sentenced, that's a post-conviction matter. So this bill is dealing with post-conviction. If there are problems in the criminal justice system leading up to conviction, we must deal with it at a different level. And yesterday, the Minister for Interior did indicate that he is in discussions with the Attorney General for them to find a framework for addressing that problem. So I don't think that that issue arises at this stage. Here we are dealing with convictions, sentencing, and an alternative to custodial sentencing. That's basically the issue, that we are dealing with here. So, Mr. Speaker, I've heard him. I think that we can have the discussion about onerous bail terms and how we deal with that. If, for instance, we come to a consensus as a country that certain type of offenses, there shouldn't be custodial, bail terms, or that if they arrest you, the provisions are there that if they arrest you, the police can grant you police inquiry bail, the court can grant you bail. Maybe what we should say is that there is abuse of the processes. And that is a function for, let's say, our Judicial Committee of Parliament to conduct an inquiry into what the judges are doing. And if, as a House, we resolve that we think that they are doing something wrong and we draw their attention, given that it's a coordinated branch of government and we should not be seen interfering in their work and etc., then we see if we can craft some legislation that will deal with that problem. But as it is now, don't forget that they are a coordinated branch of government. We must be careful what we do in relation to them as they work. Our job is to pass the legislation. Once we've passed the legislation, giving them the discretion, when they exercise the discretion, it becomes difficult for you to want to take them on, because at that point you will be unduly interfering in the work of a coordinated branch of government, and that is a problem. So I think that if we think that onerous bail terms are a problem, let's have some platform for discussing that. Mr. Speaker, I still plead that we end and suspend the consideration of the Community Service Bill and then start with the Family Values Bill, because we had agreed that we'll take a few clauses of that one today and then proceed.
Yes, Minority Leader.
Speaker, with respect, thank you. The Speaker, I've listened carefully to the great submissions of the Majority Leader. But I believe the burden of my submission earlier was to look at the issues as a whole, rather than dealing with them in silos. There is no difference in substance between a post-conviction relief contained in this bill and a pre-conviction custodial orders. They are one and the same. And it's a reason why I'm saying that let us take a parliamentary step to address it. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Leader of the House has cautioned that we should be careful in dealing with a body with coordinate mandate as enshrined in the Constitution. I agree with him without more. But the point is that where the judiciary itself has made a pronouncement to guide, in the Martin Kpebu No. 2 case, the judiciary had the occasion to even pronounce on these onerous bail conditions and provided a guideline to the lower courts. So, Mr. Speaker, we can take advantage of the judiciary's own pronouncement and enact on it. It's like what they did in Article 185. That Article 185 requires that international commercial transactions must receive parliamentary blessing, and expected, as in Clomega case, that Parliament should enact a law to regulate 185. We've still not done it. So they have already given us the opener. And if there is a clear legislation, Mr. Speaker, it will help the cause Ghana is respected for promoting human rights. The time has come for us to deal with the gaps in our laws and address them to give full confidence. Oftentimes you hear political actors crying foul here and there, depending on which side they are. If they are in opposition, you hear them loudest. If they are in government, you don't hear them. But Mr. Speaker, whether government or in opposition, once it's injustice, it's injustice. So the opportunity is now, and I'm happy that the majority leader, in concluding, agrees with me that we need to sit and look at it in composite. If we say it is basically a post-conviction law, then we would be denying ourselves an opportunity to address the very concerns that the minister responsible for this bill put out in his own argument. We need to address this issue of bail once and for all, and do so by law and in clear language. And I couldn't agree with the majority leader the more when he said that we perhaps may have to look at legislating clearly that when it is a misdemeanor, the court, no matter what, would have to ensure that the accused in the box is granted bail in terms that would not be onerous. Mr. Speaker, I would want to end here, but I am pleading with majority leader that let us have a win-win on this matter. I would want us, don't worry, Mr. Speaker, it's fine. If your prayer and pleasure is that we should advertise the proposals and then take them back to win-win, so be it. It's fine with me. We'll deal with it. But at least I agree, I understand that fundamentally you agree with the issues, because, Mr. Speaker, without sounding political, 2028 is just around the corner. We don't know what's going to happen in 2029. Maybe if we do it well, it's going to benefit you. Tomorrow, Mr. Speaker, it's most likely, because you don't have a leader now, we have. So it's most likely that you're likely going into opposition, and this law would protect you against any injustice. Yes, I miss government.
Honorable members, I think this is not an issue that we should debate. This is not an issue we should debate in the sense that if you read paragraph 1 of the memorandum underpinning the bill, it reads, the object of the bill are to establish a national community service secretariat and to provide for community service as an alternative to custodial sentence and for persons convicted of specific category of offenses. So the meaning that I gathered here, and reading from clause 39 up to 45, which talks about community service order, clearly means that until and unless the person is convicted, this act cannot be invoked. Now, when you talk about bail, bail is a preliminary issue because it is before a conviction. And this act is talking about a person who is convicted should be given an alternative sentence to custodial sentence. That is when the law kicks in. So to do a win-win and take into consideration bail in this particular law may pose a problem. I, however, agree that we can do win-win, and doing win-win is conditioned on the fact that members have amendment to the bill, which is unwieldy, and then we refer it to the win-win committee to sieve it. That is, by our own standing order, that is where win-win is conducted. But as we speak right now, apart from the committee's amendment, we don't have any other amendment from the members. So, honourable members, I think until then, we can make progress with this particular law. But I have a difficulty referring the bill for winnowing, only to go and be talking about bail and bail conditions in this law. This law will only come into effect when a person is convicted for certain category of offenses. Yes?
Speaker, I agree with you in substance. Every single thing you said, including the reading of the memorandum accompanying the bill, is right and fair. But, Mr. Speaker, I am lifting the veil beyond the very bill before us to trigger or to tease out this issue, largely because of what the minister said yesterday in his debate. And, Mr. Speaker, you and I know that we've had instances where bills are introduced, and based on the thinking of the House, same had been withdrawn and enriched considering other factors. So, Mr. Speaker, it was on that basis that I raised that issue. But I would bring my amendment, we will discuss it and see the way forward. But it is important, and I want Hansa to take note of this important view of mine, that we cannot deal with post-conviction sentencing regime in the form of a community service when we know that as part of the criminal jurisprudence, the ecosystem of the criminal law also gives way, allows for bail or some pre-custodial sentencing custody. The court is empowered to remand. So, Mr. Speaker, if we are dealing with it, and you are right, if the law says let's deal with only post-custodial sentencing, and we know that there's already a problem with regards to certain interim orders, we better address that also. That is where I am coming from. But yes, I don't disagree with you.
But I would want to advise and humbly crave your indulgence that with the concerns that you have raised, then you must bring a private member's bill to come and amend the Criminal Procedure Act.
Mr. Speaker, already there's a judicial pronouncement. Mr. Speaker, the Supreme Court in Martin Kpebu number 2.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the Supreme Court of Ghana was very loud and laid out a procedure and gave the grounds and cautioned itself, especially when it comes to the discretion being exercised. And Mr. Speaker, the Constitution itself. Let me read the Constitution, Article 296, Mr. Speaker, for the avoidance of doubt. It provides, with your leave, it says, where in this Constitution or in any other law discretionary power is vested in any person or authority, that discretionary power shall be deemed to imply a duty to be fair and candid. Yes. The exercise of the discretionary power shall not be arbitrary, capricious, or biased either by resentment, prejudice, or personal dislike, or shall be in accordance with due process of law. So, Mr. Speaker, basically, if in considering this bill, we want to legislate, Mr. Speaker,
296 takes the power or takes the discretion away from a judge in granting bail or not.
To factor in these predicated issues provided for in the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, this country will be seen to be upholding the rights of citizens fairly and across board, and it will be beyond debate. So, Mr. Speaker, it's only a caution. It is not a matter of disagreeing with you. I agree that the law as it is, the proposal as it is for post-conviction.
Yes.
But the minister himself, Mr. Speaker, raised serious concerns about bail. Not my argument. That is the minister's argument. The minister said bail is being abused by the police and the judiciary.
I will say
that is the minister,
regard
not
to
me.
the community service bill, anything relating to bail is out of place.
Very well, Mr. Speaker. That is understood. But yes. I'm bringing an override submission for us to consider that instead of dealing with it in isolation, it is an opportunity for us, a golden opportunity for us as a house to deal with the issue as a whole. And I expect the lawyers in this chamber to rise up on this occasion to support this call. That once we are dealing with post-conviction, let's deal with the issue of bail and enact on it collectively.
With all due respect, not when we are considering a bill unrelated to bail. Yes, Majority Leader.
I was just going to say that he's been out of order for far too long. But I understand he's been away for a while, so he wants his presence. He wants his presence noticed. He wants to register his presence.
Honourable members, Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill 2025 at consideration stage. Okay. Yes, Chairman of the committee, are you ready? Very well.
Mr. Speaker, the chairman himself is in Saudi Arabia performing Hajj. So the vice chairperson will lead us in this regard. Honorable Shaibu. Yes, the vice chairperson will lead us.
Speaker, with respect, I want to be brought to speed by the majority leader. This bill we are about considering, is this a private member's bill or a government-sponsored bill? Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry, I wasn't here yesterday. I've not had the opportunity of having a discussion with the majority leader on this important matter. So this is the private member's bill. I see. Well, Mr. Speaker, I just want clarity on this matter. I want clarity.
Mr. Speaker, this bill has always been a private member's bill. Government has no objection. Attorney General has not indicated any objection to anything contained in this bill. But it has always been a private member's bill sponsored by members of this House. And it is a bipartisan bill because we have members from both the majority and minority appending their names as sponsors. So that's what it is, and it remains that way.
Speaker, with respect, this is a House of Records. The majority leader says that government is not opposed to this bill, and the Attorney General likewise has expressed no objection. I just want to know the terms of such submission. Is he saying it in terms of a written record to this Parliament or a no objection memo to that effect? I just want clarity, since he's a leader of government.
Honourable Minority Leader, when you are confronted with a bill and the bill is a private member's motion, whether the consent by the government, the consent by the Attorney General is in writing or not, is neither here nor there. So we'll proceed with the bill. Clause 1.
Application.
Chairman of the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Clause 1, amendment proposed. Paragraph A, opening phrase. Delete who holds out as and insert who identifies, openly represents that person or professes as. I so move.
Honourable members, the proposed amendment by the Vice Chairman of the committee is for the consideration of the House. Any further amendment? In the absence of any further amendment, I'll put a question on the proposed amendment emanating from the Vice Chairman. As many as are in favor say aye. Those against say no. Honourable members, the ayes have it. The proposed amendment is ordered to stand part of the bill. Yes?
Mr. Speaker, Clause 1, amendment proposed, paragraph C, line 4, after except, delete where the procedure is intended to correct a biological abnormality including intersex, and insert in the case of intersex. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, the proposed amendment is for the consideration of the House. Any further amendment? In the absence of any further amendment, I'll put a question. As many as are in favor, say aye. Those against, say no. The ayes have it. The proposed amendment is ordered to stand part of the bill. Yes, Minority Leader.
Speaker, I want to seek your guidance. Mr. Speaker, you as a practitioner knows that in our courts, we are told that preliminary legal objection can be raised at any stage of trial. I don't know of Parliament. You know, Mr. Speaker, you are in charge of the law. Mr. Speaker, may I know your view regarding the raising of a preliminary legal objection as to whether a parliamentarian can be stopped by virtue of the stage at which a matter can be raised, or we can apply that rule in court mutatis mutandis in parliamentary practice. I need your guidance to enable me to make an application.
This is a house governed by rules. So whatever you want to do, if it is premised within our rules, you will be permitted to do so.
I think that first and foremost, this House is governed by the Constitution. I believe that at any stage in the work of this Parliament, if there is obvious violation of the Constitution, any member can raise it and have the Speaker provide an indication what should be the proper thing to do. If there's also a violation of our standing orders, you can raise it. So make sure that whatever you are going to raise is a violation of our standing orders or a violation of our Constitution. Because if it is not any of these two, we will have an issue in this chamber today.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, with that guidance from the majority leader, I am here, Mr. Speaker, on my feet on the strength of the majority leader's constitutional argument to the effect that by a constitutional imperative, the law was already passed and it was for the president to sign. For him, it would therefore be constitutionally superfluous for another bill to go through the process. I want to know, Mr. Speaker, whether or not that position of the majority leader is the view of this House or otherwise.
Honourable members, it is trite learning that if an issue is raised on the floor of this House and a ruling delivered on it, it will be mischievous on part of a member of Parliament to be raising the same issue. This issue has been raised, and the Right Honourable Speaker, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, delivered a copious ruling on this issue. Therefore, I do not expect a leader of this House or any member of this House to be raising a similar issue after the Speaker has delivered a ruling on it. If you are aggrieved by a ruling delivered by the Speaker, I believe as members of Parliament, we know what to do. Yes. That cannot amount to a threat. Well, that cannot amount to threat.
Speaker, with respect. Mr. Speaker, can an application be repeated? I understand that when you want to challenge a ruling, you file the right process. But application can be repeated. When your application is denied, you can repeat an application. And the majority leader has not departed from his own application. And, Mr. Speaker, can the same application be repeated in the circumstance?
That is why, in speaking, I indicated clearly that in our parliamentary rules, if a matter is raised and a ruling delivered on it, that issue is foreclosed, except when you are aggrieved with the ruling. Then what you should do is per our rules. Minority Leader, you are forcing me to say that you are completely out of order. I don't want to say it, but on this occasion, I will want to say that you are deliberately, completely out of order. Yes, Majority Leader.